from Aruba. They did an anthropological investigation and an odontological investigation. That means a dentist investigation. So based on the bone that was presented and on the dental records, investigations were done. Similarly, simultaneously, DNA investigation was done, but we stopped that at the moment we found that we could exclude that the bone might have belonged to Natalee Holloway. We could exclude that because from the dental records it was established that with Natalee her wisdom tooth had been extracted, and in this bone there was a wisdom tooth present, so that made the exclusion possible.
But it was human bone?
It's a human bone. The experts will not take a guess on that. They say there's too much mixed material here to say that this was either male or female. It's human, and it's of a relatively young age. That's the only thing they can say.
And again, the identification was made as a result of dental records.
Yes, that's correct. We obtained the dental records from Natalee Holloway from the United States. They were sent in last week. Lately, at Friday in the afternoon, they were sent to Holland. And during the weekend, it has been established that the molar that was in the jawbone that has been found is a wisdom tooth. And from the dental records we got from the United States, we learned that with Natalee, her wisdom teeth have been taken out.
It was obvious right there.
Yeah, it was obvious. Right there and then it was obvious it wasn't Natalee. Yeah.
What happens then?
Well, within the investigation into the disappearance of Natalee Holloway, this is, business as usual. We go on examining every lead we get, every information we get will be examined.
And there you have it. Good evening. I'm Pat Alama in for Nancy Grace. Breaking news in the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. Aruban investigators confirm a jawbone discovered on the Aruban beach is not, you heard it, Natalee Holloway. The very latest, let's go straight out to Jean Casares, legal correspondent with In Session. Jean, I held my breath all morning, and when I read the results on my BlackBerry, I got to tell you, I gasped. What was it like for you in Aruba?
When
We've
we were
lost Jean. We'll get her back in.
Office, and we got there early this morning, and then when it was about noontime, we realized that it was midday, and then we found out the results were forthcoming, and all of a sudden the announcement came that the human jawbone was not that of Natalee Holloway. I think on this entire island there was a feeling of, I want to say, sadness, because everyone wanted it to be Natalee Holloway.
You are so right. And Rupa Mika Lanani, I shudder to think, you know, for those of us in society not connected to this case, it's been pretty harrowing for us. I can't imagine what it must have been like for the family, unless they're just so strong and so stalwart they were prepared for the worst.
You know, Pat, this has been such an impossible time for them. And no, how can anyone be strong enough to withstand 5 years of not knowing where your daughter is, where your child is, when she vanished on an island holiday? So to answer your question, they were waiting with bated breath, both Beth Twitty and Dave Holloway waiting. And, you know, the unfortunate thing here is that they were not able to find out sooner. They, just like all of us here in the public, the media, were waiting alongside us, and they received the news at the exact same time that we did.
Yeah, and that's a bone of contention with Beth Twitty. And I want to tell you that we are very grateful to have Linda Allison with us, who is Natalee Holloway's aunt, and you are the sister of Dave Holloway, her father. Please tell us your reaction. And I'm sorry about the results and what it must mean to your family, but tell us what you think.
Well, I did get a chance to talk to Dave several times today, and we were just, the anxiety was just unbelievable this morning, anticipating what the results were going to be. And we, you know, just, again, we're almost flabbergasted to hear the news at the same time that everybody else did, that there was no phone call made prior to Dave and Robin or to Beth saying, you know, we've gotten the results and it's not Natalee's DNA. And so we were just kind of really shocked about the way that was handled. And I know Dave and Robin are really disappointed. They were looking for some closure, and it didn't happen today.
We are so sorry. And you know, on that matter of alerting family before media, C.W. Jensen, retired Portland police captain, I've been covering crime for longer than I want to admit. And isn't it just sort of the natural course to inform a family before you make some public statement about something so serious and so frustrating?
Well, I've had the unfortunate duty to tell many, many family members and friends about the death of a loved one. And I think it just is a common kind of courtesy when you know these people. And certainly Natalee's parents have been down there. They know the prosecutors. It would have been nice to pick up the phone and just let them know, hey, it's not Natalee, and we're continuing to do the investigation. Hopefully they learned their lesson from this one.
You'd think so. Heather Walsh-Haney, forensic anthropologist, Florida Gulf Coast University. We're going to get into more detail later about what they found in their investigation. But it basically, for lack of a better phrase, it came down to a wisdom tooth, correct?
It absolutely did. It sounds to me like they got the dental records from Natalee, realized that those wisdom teeth, those back molars, had been extracted, and then noted on the bone that they had in their care and their custody had a wisdom tooth there. That excluded Natalee immediately.
Unbelievable. And Ray Giudice, defense attorney, you know, I guess in a way you can say Joran van der Sloot ducks another punch tonight, does he not?
Yeah, you know, but this also just proves there's just absolutely no aspect of the Aruban law enforcement hierarchy that is not second-rate. Just another example how the poor family has been really jerked around. There's no other way to say it, given no courtesy, no heads up. And the bottom line, from what I understand, is that the dental records have actually been available for a number of days. And it was the fact that the dental records precluded that this was Natalee several days ago. The DNA was just a foregone conclusion.
John Manuelian, also defense attorney, allegedly Joran van der Sloot, when told about a jawbone, laughed, chuckled, and shook his head. So today he must be smiling broadly.
Yeah, when I first heard that, you know, I was probably in the minority when I said that. I don't think he was laughing because he was being, you know, pernicious. I think he was laughing because he knew it wasn't true. He knows where Natalee Holloway is buried. And when they came at him with that information, he laughed because he just knew that that couldn't possibly be true.
You know, Carolyn Stark, psychologist, give us a sense of something. You know, we cover a lot of these cases. I'm always on these cases. But there's something about this one that almost emotionally attached itself to me, other reporters, members of the community, the general public. What was it about this case? What is it about this case?
Well, it was... The mother and the father were so heartfelt, and the Aruban authorities handled it so poorly. And you got to see all these pictures of this beautiful young girl who had her whole life ahead of her, and the whole thing being, you know, almost resolved, then not. You know, talk about bated breath. I feel like these poor parents, they take this deep breath to be prepared for something, and then they can never let it out. They never get an answer. And the pain that they're feeling will never really go away. You know, not unless, I mean, they don't even have an idea of what it would be like to find out that it was Natalee, what to expect, if they would indeed have some sense of closure, and then they keep getting misled the way that they handled Joran when he was there in Aruba. I think that we're all so much identifying with what if this was us? What if this was our daughter? It's heartbreaking.
Linda Allison, aunt of Natalee Holloway, what does the family do next? Does Dave want to continue this? Does he just want to, you know, bury his head in his hands and say there's nothing more I can do as a parent? What do you think?
He's going to continue to do whatever he can. He and Robin want to get some closure, and I know that it's difficult. You know, we continue to get these obstacles in our way, this emotional roller coaster of thinking that we're somewhere close to the truth, and we haven't found it. But if it means going back to Aruba and doing another search, if we knew we had a little bit more concrete information as to go to a specific place to search, I'm sure EquiSearch would be right there helping with all that. But we're not going to give up. We're going to continue to see if there's anything else that we can unturn. And this may go on for a long time, but we're in it for the long run.
And Linda, let me ask you, did your family also share the same optimism that the rest of us seem to have, that maybe, wow, it just feels like this is it this time?
I think so. As time went on and we got more information from, of course, listening to what we heard with media and experts that were on about the jawbone, and that they had maybe narrowed this down to a female Caucasian, and it was actually a human jawbone, that when we start narrowing down that type of information, then you start thinking, okay, this really is a great possibility that this is Natalie's jawbone. And so
and on that, go ahead, Linda.
I was just going to say, so based on those type things, we just had maybe decided this is probably it, even though I don't think you're ever really ready or prepared for whatever the answer is going to be.
Jean Casares, on that note, it turns out that they can't even identify gender. Is that correct?
That's right. All we know is that it is human, and they are not saying if it's male or female. At this point, they cannot say, but it is a relatively young person.
We hoped it would bring them, but they must rest assured that we do our utmost to solve the case, and we work as much